We're now going to talk about handling exceptions. Handling exceptions is very important in programming. So you've probably experienced this before where you've tried to put in something into an application, some input, and you put in the wrong type of input. How does the application react? Does it crash on you? Does it come back and give you an error message that you've entered the wrong input? And which reaction would you prefer? Would you prefer it to crash, or would you prefer it to come and give you some kind of a user-friendly error message that says that you have entered the wrong form of input? For me personally, I don't know about you, but for me personally, I prefer the second method. So here we have on our screen, we have a program, gross pay. Gross pay is something that calculates the gross pay. So let's go ahead and try to calculate a gross pay. We can run this module. Let me just adjust the size of this before I start running it. We can run this module, and it will come back and it'll ask the user for how many hours did you work and what is your pay rate. And based on that, it is going to calculate the gross pay of the user. And that the program will, of course, run in the shell. So I'm going to put the shell and this side by side. I say run module. How many hours did you work? I worked 45 hours. And what is your hourly pay rate too? Okay, so I get a gross pay of 90. Right, so now I run the module. How many hours did you work? 120 hours. And because I worked so many hours, I obviously can't see the sentence correctly. So my gross pay now is ABC. Okay, and there's a program crash for you. It goes back and it says, it's a value error. It couldn't convert string to float ABC. So basically, it's looking at this. What it's expecting here is, if you look at this pay rate, it's expecting a float. Okay, now if I enter 1, 2, it'll convert that to a float. But ABC is a string. And the error it's giving you is that it could not convert that string to float. So the program crashed. Now, instead of this crash, what I would have liked to have seen the program do before it ended is to tell me that I've entered the incorrect type of input. So in order to get over that, what Python provides us with is, it provides us with a try and except statement. And the purpose of the try and except, that's EXCEPT, not accept, but except. The purpose of the try and except is to do graceful error handling. Graceful error handling is very, very important in programs. For example, if you go to the ATM machine, you go there, you put in your card, and you enter the wrong PIN number. Okay, what do you want the machine to do? Do you want the program to crash, or do you want it to come back and tell you that, sorry, you entered an incorrect PIN number, please try? And again, I don't know about you, but I prefer the second method. So the try and accept clauses, let me bring that code up on the screen. The try and accept clauses work like this. Okay, whatever's in the try clause, which is all of this code right here, whatever's in the try clause is executed. If something goes wrong in that, then control is transferred to the except. And there are many different types of errors that can happen in the except. You can have an IO error, which could be in the file opening or writing to a file. You could have a value error, or you could have a generic error, just any type of error that occurred. Okay, so you can handle exceptions like this. So what we do in this case, in the same case, we have this program here. It's exactly the same program, except we're saying, try, get the input, try to calculate what's the gross pay, print the gross pay, and then the except clause comes in, except value error. So if any place here there was a value error exception that was raised, then this is what you want it to do. You don't want it to do this. You don't want it to crash and do a dump of a traceback error. You want it to do this. You want it to be an elegant exit out of the program. Let's see what it does. How many hours did you work? I worked the same 120 hours. and I have the same ABC pay rate. And now look at the difference between this execution and this one. Here it says error. Hours worked and hourly pay rate must be valid integers. Okay, I run this again. How many hours did you work? 120. What's your hourly pay rate? It's actually question marks because I'm questioning how much I'm earning per hour. So here we go, again, an exception. And you no longer have this horrible red text show up as a program crash. Instead, you have your program still exits, your program still stops, but it does an elegant exit and a very graceful stop. And this is why we use the try and except. Now you can raise multiple types of exceptions with the try and except. So let me open another file. And I'm going to bring it to the screen. Here we go. In this one, as you can see, you have sales data. You're trying to read from a file. Now, what are the different things that could go wrong if you try to read from a file? A, the file doesn't exist, because remember, if you want to read from a file, it must exist. So A, the file doesn't exist. B, there's a problem with the disk. C, you're trying to read past end of file. Or it could be an empty file. So now, since we put all of this in the try clause, we have three different types of exceptions. Except IO error. If you try to read a file that didn't exist, or you try to read an empty file, or you try to go past end of file. Value error. You're expecting numeric data in the file. What if somebody stuck an ABC in the file? Well, then that's a value error. Except, blank except, means any type of error. Any type of error that's not explained under IO error or value error, then any other type of error that occurs, then you go and print, say, an error occurred. So this is the way we handle exceptions in Python. Exception handling is very, very important. Very important because without exception handling, you do have a very ungraceful exit from your program. In order to have your program exit gracefully, you must have the try and except clause in your program. Thank you.